The story starts with a man making some noise to wake people up. The scene shifts to a man lying on his bed, struggling to get up. The person beside him says, "There is something in my boots." His name is Enkrid. "After causing a lot of trouble, I was demoted to the squad leader of these guys," he says. "I don't have any special powers or anything. I managed to get here with endless training, but this is my end. I had no talent, and I know that my dream is out of my reach. I hope that even if everyone loved me and told me it would never come true, as long as there was a sword in my hand, I would become a knight." The dream was so worn out, and I didn't even know that my death would be a pathetic one. As he wakes up, he thinks it was just a dream, but his roommate is still screaming about the bug, and he realizes it's déjà vu. The second time, the third time, the fourth time, it is happening again and again. The enemy sword piercing through my throat, the burning pain, the searing blood, I throw up. This day keeps on repeating. Perfect thrust, the 17th sword tip coming at me, and my 17th death. If I had swung my sword more precisely, if only I had tried harder, maybe I wouldn't have died here. "Do you really believe that?" someone says. "Then fall and surrender. Know that you can never surmount that fall." His roommate says, "You're up on time for once." He replies, "There is a bug in your boot," and when he checks the boot, there actually is a bug, which he kills easily. "Did you put it in there? Is this your idea of a joke?" he asks. His roommate replies, "Don't be ridiculous. I just happened to see it." This is the 18th time I've seen that bug die. How many times must I see that bug before the day ends? I took up the sword in my youth. I learned swordsmanship from a retired mercenary passing through my town. The man said, "Remarkable. If you are already this capable, you could become a knight." And I began to dream of becoming a knight, a warrior who could fell 1,000 enemies, a single man who could change the tides of battle, an invincible hero. The knight of the end shall be hailed when, in ending war, he hath prevailed. I believed that knight in the wandering minstrel's song was me. That's it, I thought. I will leave home and become a knight. In a bar, someone chugging a drink says, "Did you see the newcomer fall over earlier? He says he dreams of becoming a knight, yet he cowers at the sight of a mere stray dog. Who's going to pay him to be a mercenary?" I left home and joined a band of mercenaries. It wasn't long before I realized I had no particular talent. But that wasn't enough to make me quit. I believed that hard work would never betray me. If I lacked talent, I thought I could overcome it with time and effort. As I destroyed the monster, I gained experience and grew in strength and stamina until others noticed I was getting stronger. I thought, I can become a knight. But that burning hope was soon crushed. A boy from a village we were passing through challenged me to a duel. The boy said, "You're weak, mister," and he was only 12 years old. He had only picked up the sword 6 months earlier. For more than 10 years, I had trained until my hands were covered in blisters, and yet my skills were dwarfed by a genius with only 6 months of training. Is hard work really so worthless? Is there really no hope for me? I longed to be a knight, even if everyone mocked me. I worked tirelessly. I slept fewer hours than the others. I trained and trained with the hope that someday I would succeed. If I couldn't become a knight, I thought I could at least become a seasoned soldier. 3 years have passed since then. In the Cyprus Division, 4th Company, 4th Platoon, and 4th Squad, I'm now the leader of a squad made up of the lowest-ranking members of the military. I got this position thanks to my tireless training. It's not exactly glamorous, but I suppose being in the Royal Military beats being a wandering mercenary. As I call someone named Saxon and ask if he filled in for morning duty today, he says, "You owe me one." Then someone else approaches and says, "Did you see the look he gave you? Are you going to make me do your duty work too?" Saxon replies, "I want to learn Beast Heart again." And the other says, "Didn't you try to and give up before?" There is a battle between Naurelia and Asfen. It is in this battle that I first died, and it is the battle I relive again and again. I die and wake up again. I learn Beast Heart from Ram again and again, but I still haven't seen the tip of the sword that kills me. But today will be the day. And here's a short message. This is my 21st time fighting this battle. I know everything that happens by now. As I do, I block an attack from behind. Vel, from the other squad, usually dies here. He always dies even after I saved him from the arrow. The first mission is clear. Now, all that's left is the opening that I face without fail. He has stabbed me in the neck 20 times in a row. This time, I'm going to survive. As I reminisce about the past, someone says, "You always close your eyes at the crucial moment." They demonstrate, if you do that on the battlefield, you will be dead. You need courage. You cannot lose composure under any circumstances. You have to become a man who has no conception of death, like a wild beast. That is the beast heart. Wild beasts have no conception of death. Do I fear death? No. Death only makes me stronger. As my heart beats faster, I say, it took 21 tries, but I finally dodged the attack. But I cannot dodge the second attack. I'm trapped, doomed to repeat the day again and again. You suffer and you despair. Surrender and get on the boat. Accept that you are weak and rest forever in peace. But I say no. That's never going to happen. I saw the tip of his sword and I dodged it. And the message says, you're on time for once again. As time resets, I say, I am moving steadily forward and I am going to try for the 22nd time. On the 33rd day, he said, I see it clearly now. I have to strike before he dies. No, he is too fast. He recalled that when he was a mercenary, he once accepted a job to kill some monsters. It wasn't a job he necessarily had to take, but it was a request from a small village he was passing through. He helped them because he dreamed of becoming a knight, and a knight's duty is to protect the weak. The villagers said, we are a poor village, and this is all we have to give you. They gave him a charm. He thought it was too small a payment for risking his life, but the old man said, I will grant your most fervent wish. Could it be that this charm is the reason I am reliving this day over and over again, so I can get closer to becoming a knight? He wondered. The person who attacked him said, you must be in great pain. I shall show you mercy. He looked into his attacker's eyes and realized he was a twisted soldier who took pleasure in killing. The scene shifted back to the point where the story had started, with the man scared of the bug. As he killed the bug again, he said, enough crying, now come and teach me beast heart. He attacked him, swinging his weapon toward him. His opponent asked, what have you done? How have you become so fearless overnight? I have been training, he replied. This isn't something you can simply train yourself to do, his opponent said. I have done this over a dozen times already, he responded. It's unlikely that I'll learn the technique from someone else. I've learned it through death. What does it matter? The scene shifts as a man picks up his belongings, and our main character picks up a sword and asks him to spar. He thought to himself, I may have learned beast heart, but if I don't strike back, I'll end up dead again. As they fought, the man said, come on, is dodging all you know how to do? I only know one style of swordsmanship, the Valen mercenary style, he answered. It was an unconventional style created by a mercenary named Valen. Some viewed it as a cheap trick, and it was sometimes the object of ridicule. You've lost your balance, the man said. But for me, it's the best trick I've got, he replied, launching another attack. Before I knew it, I found myself imitating that twisted soldier, he thought. I guess it's not strange that I remember that thrust. I've died to it dozens of times. The man remarked. Where's the blood? That was the best thing you've shown me yet, but it should have been more like a splat, you know. Yes, he replied. Your hands are bleeding. Show me your true strength. You talk to yourself too much. I should be thinking, not dodging. If you don't dodge this, you're dead now. His opponent continued, and if you fail, you will lose your sword. It was a terrible explanation, but I understood, he thought. The difference between my thrust and his is that mine lacked conviction. His opponent said again, I shall show you mercy. I have to thrust at him with the intent to kill, he resolved. I will advance one step at a time, or half a step if needed. By the 111th day, he had continued his relentless training, and finally, on the 124th day, he defeated the man. The man asked, have you gone mad? Your hand is bleeding. Why are you smiling? I've finally mastered that twisted soldier's thrust, he replied. With firm determination to kill, he attacks again. This time, I won't fail, he says. I kept my eyes open and I didn't lose my grip on my sword. By fighting the same battle over and over again, he has experienced every possible scenario. There is no tomorrow for the dead, the man says. I saw it coming. Thank you. Then show your gratitude by filling in for my morning duty, he replies. How can you be so shameless? The man asks. Today is day 125. Someone calls him Big Eyes and tells him to give him greaves, a shield, and daggers. He promises to pay later, but when he asks about it, the man says, You know I take my payment up front. I'm only trusting you this time because it's you. It's not like Enkrid to order people around, right? Someone else remarks. You're the ones who always shifted your responsibilities onto him. It's like you have no conscience. What was that? Would you like an axe in your skull? Another person threatens. May blessings be upon you, brother, someone behind him says. There's something really off about Corporal today. I've never seen him look so bloodthirsty. I feel excruciating pain every time I die. What if I never win, even after 1,000 or tens of thousands of tries? What if I still wake up in the same place the next morning? Will it ever be a new day? I've become stronger, but can I settle for that? He shakes his head. No, that's not a choice. I have to surmount the wall by repeating this day. I've mastered Beast Heart and the thrust, and I refuse to give up now. Despite not possessing any special talent, I've survived this long thanks to preparation, luck, and composure. On the 46th day, the one with the club crushed my left shoulder. On the 47th day, I rolled to dodge him, but my head was bashed in by another enemy. On the 75th day, someone cut my leg from below, and I didn't even reach that soldier. On the 89th day, I died to a flying axe. If I leave him alive, he interferes with my fight with the soldier, so I have to be sure to kill him. It's not that hard. I've mastered many throwing techniques by now. After I complete this sequence, Vel is always behind me. It's the archer called Falcon Claw, but I have no time to go after him. It's time to face the wall. I cannot win by just dodging and thrusting. I have to outlast him. He's a mere infantryman, but he's a master fighter, enough to be called a genius. He was about to charge, but blocked instead. However, he gets easily flustered due to his lack of experience. The unconventional mercenary style is effective against him. As they fight, he says, I know everything there is to know about that thrust. Finally, he wins. The man says, You're mad. It's too late. Don't do anything foolish. He watches the soldier fall to the ground. I shall show you mercy, he says, and he cuts the man's head off. The wall has been conquered. He would fall to the likes of you. He charged at him as the fight ensued, and their swords crashed against each other. If you're going to kill our corporal, you'll have to get my permission first, he said. The frog replied, The fee's too low, not for you. He explained that frogs are a species born for battle, and the only way to kill him is to burn him with magic or stab his heart. What a pain, the frog said. What is this level of warrior doing in an insignificant battle like this? To kill him, I have to fight with my life. It is not worth it. As the fight continued, the soldier's head got cut off again, and every soldier called to retreat, so you survived the day. But that is all. You will continue to face yet more walls, and you will not be able to endure, for your fate is to surrender and spare. He said, For me, walls exist to be overcome. You want to see? I shall be looking forward to it, to see you broken and torn. As he woke up, he thought, Where am I? Someone said, The infirmary. You have been asleep for 2 days. The man replied, I saved you from that frog. Do you remember that? He said, It was the last thing that attacked me. Am I still alive? The other person replied, You did not break any bones, but they say that your head was badly shaken. You can still remember me, right? I am your best friend. He said, We have been best friends, noble killer. The message continued, You should really be careful with other secrets. I thought that we were best friends. He said, I had escaped today and started on your day. I survived the red wine. Do you have any idea how much it costs to put you in here? I expect you to pay me 3-fold, he replied. The man said, I see. I was wondering, a lowly infantryman like me, why did I end up in the infirmary? I didn't see you anywhere on the battlefield as usual. He replied, Okay, then pay me back with a special discount from my favorite person. Suddenly, a member of the 4th squad came up to him and said, Ointment, apply it twice a day, and don't tell anyone where you got it. This is the ointment that Sashin often uses, but I thought he hated sharing his things. Another member of the 4th squad, named Auden, was sitting next to him. He said, Will you go already? I am not going to die. I can't believe that they are taking turns to come to see me. They have never seemed to care much about me before. Are they worried about me? Someone else came into the room and asked, "What are you doing in the infirmary?" It was Ragna, also a member of the fourth squad. He said, "Well, excluding him, he's definitely not worried about me." There were two others in the infirmary platoon, readers from another company that he always picks fights with. The message continued, "What are you looking at, soldier? You spend most of your time staring off into space." He looked low in rank, so how did he get in here? Then someone came and asked, "Who is the 444th leader?" Our main character was very surprised to see her. As she asked about his affiliation, the soldier replied, "Second Company, 3rd Platoon Leader, Venzen's Mon." She said, "Is it customary in your company to greet a superior by referring to them by their race?" He asked for forgiveness, realizing she must be the new 4th Company commander he had heard about. "I am the 4th Company of the 4th Squad," she said. "I hate to admit it, but you're doing a fine job with that difficult squad. I look forward to seeing more of what you can do." He thought to himself, she just came here to say that? When she asked his name, he replied, "My name is Gran," sounding like he had just made it up. His casual attitude seemed inappropriate, considering he was speaking to a company commander. Could he be nobility? The pain was mostly gone, and his strength was returning. It was time to start training again when someone asked him where he was going. He replied, "I'm going to the training grounds." The message continued, "But is it fitting for a lowly foot soldier to train so hard?" Reflecting on the last battle, he thought about the valuable lessons he learned from the costly classes he took as a boy. "I gave my everything on that final lunge, but what if I had failed? Did I do the right thing by betting everything on that one attack? If it had failed, I would have died. If each of my strikes were as menacing as Rem's axes, then I could give the world my flow of attack." The man remarked, "You sure have worked hard." He replied, "I don't exactly know that, but all you did was wiggle your hand in the barracks, and now you're standing there with the sword doing nothing. That weakling was too weak, and my grip feels right now." "I'm reviewing the last battle," he said. "Why would you do that?" came the reply. "So that I don't die," he answered. The man was very surprised and didn't know what to say. "Is there anything you plan to become by protecting the precious life of yours?" he asked. "My dream is something that always invites laughter. The moment I say it, I realize I've already reached my limit due to my lack of talent, but at the same time, I never stop dreaming." He said, "This is the first time anyone has encouraged me." As they sat in the tent, the man asked, "Where's breakfast? Do you plan to feed us after you have digested your food and crapped it out?" He walked to the wandering song and waited for the late breakfast, taking a walk instead of going to train. His companion asked how his injury was, and he replied, "That ointment helped a lot." "If you have time, show your gratitude by attending to your duties soon," the companion suggested. He then went to sleep early. It was a day when nothing really happened. When he woke up, he realized, it's definitely the same day again. You will yet face another wall. Let us see if you can survive this time. He thought, does that mean I died in my sleep? I was far more powerless than when I faced the soldier. It's insulting, but that will just make it more rewarding to overcome this. It was time for another challenge. As he lay on the bed, he pondered who killed him and how he got killed. For the enemy to get all the way here, they would have to pass through many obstacles along the way, which wouldn't be possible for a knight at the very least. However, that was not likely. It was a quiet assassination, likely by someone on the inside, someone who knows the location and can move quietly without getting caught. A quiet and nimble elf would be perfect for the job. Did she come that day to mark the location of a target? He resolved to wake up the other soldiers the moment he saw the assassin. Suddenly, he noticed a poisoned dart hit his neck. I didn't even see anyone. It's completely paralyzed me, and I cannot even speak. This must be a very powerful poison. As he lay there, he watched the assassin kill other soldiers. Suddenly, another assassin appeared, and it was none other than the company commander. He thought, I was alert, but I still didn't sense the assassin. This is going to be a challenge. Even if he defeated that first assassin, he would have to face another immediately after. I feel so powerless. It was only a few days ago that I felt the same way. But he was determined. I will find a way as long as I don't give up. Suddenly, a voice startled him. "What are you doing?" He turned to see someone standing there. Did the assassin really hide in here in advance? I should focus on the outside. What is it now? Are you training by catching cockroaches with your sword? For a lowly foot soldier like you, that kind of training is beneath you, Venzins remarked. Had no idea you cared so much about training, Lieutenant Venzins, he replied, trying to keep the mood light. Haven't you ever heard of sarcasm? Venzins shot back, annoyance lacing his tone. I was being sarcastic too. Just get lost then. You're putting me in a crappy mood, he grumbled. Suddenly, someone else entered the tent. Are you two fighting again? Should I come back later? He replied, considering how carefully the assassin had checked for him. Cran must be their target. But how important could he be that someone would want to assassinate him? He shook his head. I'm not going to keep imagining if someone isn't willing to tell me something first, just like how I treat those misfits. Yet he knew he was dying because of this guy. I suppose it can't hurt to ask just once. He turned to Cran. Who are you? Cran paused for a moment, then seemed to think better of it. Maybe that wasn't the best way to do this. I guess my conversation skills aren't much better. Cran replied. Who am I? I cannot say. Why not? It's complicated. The man stated, I would never betray our country. Dignity radiated from him, every inch of his body embodying the pride of a knight. How dare you? I am your superior. I would say you're not a knight, he retorted, pointing out how easily Cran died at the hands of an assassin. But he definitely possesses something knight-like. Soon, the assassins will come, and all three of us will be dead. Where are you going? Get back to bed, Cran shouted. The assassins will be coming soon. I suggest you cooperate if you want to live. You've finally gone over the edge, Cran muttered as he rested on his bed. I suppose that was expected. Suddenly he was attacked from behind the tent. It is the fourth day, he thought. Without any clear evidence about the assassins, I would be able to get Venzins and Cran to help me. As for asking for reinforcements, did you take a club to your head out on the battlefield? Venzins shouted. Shut up and get back to your barracks. The only thing left for him to do was wait for the assassins and strike just before their attack. Should I do it now? No, it's probably too late, he muttered as he was attacked again. They are too fast. There is no way to get help from anyone else. I have to ambush them somehow. But how do I fight an enemy that I cannot even see? They are practically invisible to me. Meanwhile, he thought about everything he had learned about this infirmary. If I keep dying meaninglessly, I'll be nothing but a hero of the battlefield. On the 20th day, he reflected, I have died 20 times without being able to do a single thing against the assassins. 20 times! I must start thinking of ways to avoid the dark waiting that comes after. I have to be able to respond more quickly. He sought out Sachin. Why is he a treacherous wildcat? Because he's a dirty, twisted backstabber. He doesn't fight face to face because he takes pleasure in stabbing his opponents in the back. If that's not it, I don't know what is. As someone asked about his injury, he replied, if I had Sachin with me, he would easily handle the assassins, but I don't have the authority to take him with me, and even if I did, this is my wall to climb. In that case, he thought, I have to become Sachin. If he were to stay with me in the back, how would he do it? I'm not sure. I've never seen anyone succeed. After a moment of silence, he sighed, you just need eyes on the back of your head. Eyes on the back of my head? What do you mean by that? Perfect timing. Do you see that cart behind the barracks? What? How did you see that from so far away? Do you really have eyes on the back of your head? It's about to fall apart. Are you some kind of prophet? Prophet? Your powers of speech have really taken a turn. I must have spent too much time with that barbarian. Quit fooling around and tell me how you knew. It's sound. I could hear that joint on the wheel shaking. Once you hear something, you can make predictions. You heard that one tiny noise? Did I even hear the cart? In other words, you don't always have to rely on your eyes to see. If you want to practice this, keep listening and sharpening your senses. You can change the sound you perceive. That was more detail than I expected from you, he remarked. Usually, you would just say it's too troublesome to explain. It is troublesome, but it's better than having you pester me nonstop. You seem like you won't give up on anything easily. As night fell, he thought, my second world is invisible death. If I can see it, I leave regular footsteps. That's the petrol, the sound of the torch. Where are you? Where's your sound? Suddenly, a poisoned dart hit him again. The experience of training and mastering the beast heart. You can learn a lot from sound alone. You can analyze sound based on its direction and volume. If you learn to hear softly and from a distance, then your ears will be like another set of eyes. Sounds are waves. No matter how small, they spread in all directions. In the chaotic layer of hundreds of thousands of different sounds, you can pick out one wave. So you know what I did to his neck? Have you been to the village? There are beautiful women there, Sachin replied. What sounds are mixed up in all this chaos? Listen, sort and catch the sound of the flag. It sounds like just one big flag. How many flags were there? 7? 10? From the right to the left, they're close by and too far away. I feel the waves of familiar sounds and unfamiliar ones. What kind of training are you doing right now? I don't take it clearly like this, but does this look like training to you? I'm just sitting here like a fool. Well, I know you're not wasting your time like a fool. On the 33rd day, he realized he had failed again. On the 34th day, he reflected. Surrounding a wall does not depend on the perfect opportunity. It doesn't depend on some divine help. It requires doing the most simple yet necessary things and repairing it carefully. Finally, he felt ready. As the assassins attacked, he thought, "You are no longer an invisible death." The assassin called out, "You must be sleepy, right?" "I cannot tell. There's no way he was killed in direct combat. As for the twisted stabber, I can take him on," he replied, glancing around. Venzins was already dead, but Cran was still alive. "I cannot let my guard down. He's still highly trained." The fight continued to escalate. "If I don't stab the elf commander first, I die." Suddenly, a guard appeared, catching him off guard. "I thought she was with the assassins, but she was trying to protect us." Whatever the case, he thought, this is my chance. As the fight raged on, the assassins struck from thin air. "Did he get away?" Cran said. "He was probably after me." "He knows," he replied, feeling a mix of confusion and determination. "He's after someone like me or Venzins," the elf commander smirked. "You're a sharp one. We may have been allies just now, but it would be terrible if word of this got out. Considering that evidence must be destroyed, I have a request to make. I do not want anyone to die tonight." "As you wish," he said, but then asked, "Including the lieutenant? He's not already dead, is he?" "There is an antidote, and he will live," the commander replied, her voice steady. "She must be familiar with medicinal herbs." Cran interrupted. "We must clean up here. Things will become complicated if it gets out that an assassin came by." "Do you need to get rid of evidence?" he asked, his tone cautious. "There is a very easy method," she replied, glancing at the chaos around them. "Just let me handle all the traces of the assassins." "I'm sure they will take care of the rest," he muttered. "You would have died if that corporal hadn't bought you some time. Have you had a change of heart because of him?" the elf commander asked, her tone almost teasing. "Yes," he admitted. "He is an interesting fellow, is he not? Until now, I have tried to run away, but it looks like you've drawn me in. We shall meet again someday, each in our own place. I shall see you soon." As she faded into the night, he thought, by surviving a silent death, I was able to leave behind that repeating day and rise to a new morning. "I can almost hear anything now," he mused, "but I could not hear the elf. I will need to keep training hard." Fortunately, he wasn't injured, and he could return to duty immediately. As he prepared to leave, he turned to Cran, who was glaring at him. "Do you want to pick a fight with me for saving you? What's your problem with me?" "Because we are comrades in arms. Isn't that enough? After all the trouble I gave you, naive fool." "Are you going back to your squad?" Cran asked, still irritated. "Yes, but the timing is bad. Things are not good back at the camp." "What do you mean?" Cran pressed. "There's a rumor going around that the camp has been cursed." "What did you just say, you overgrown idiot?" Cran exclaimed, punching him in the arm. "Everybody run! This madman squad is fighting again." As the fight broke out, he could hear the menacing words of his comrades. "I will decorate your skull with this axe." They pulled out their weapons, and chaos erupted. "Everyone evacuate the camp quickly," one shouted. "I'm not leaving before I slash you in half," he retorted, adrenaline coursing through him. "I don't know anything about this supposed curse going around the camp, but I know that my squad is a curse in itself. He lay resting in bed, reflecting on the 3 days since he returned to his squad. Just then, someone entered his tent. I was just trying to sneak my way out. Did I wake you? No, I was about to get up and exercise anyway, he replied. You haven't been up long since I taught you to listen, but you seem to be doing that quite well already, the visitor noted. I have been practicing, he said, determination in his voice. We'll keep practicing. It should come in handy with winter approaching. There are fewer battles these days. This is the perfect time to train as much as possible. An old man entered the tent. You're an early bird, back from your morning exercise? He nodded. I commend your commitment. A well-trained body is like a shield in itself, the old man chuckled. You only want to be able to handle a kick from a frog, but you'll have to train harder. You're still very small. Are you sure it's not just you who's not very big? He shot back. The old man retorted. Remember the muscle training technique I taught you? Now get out of bed, you lazy sack of manure. It's your turn to make breakfast. Why don't you go boil your boots if you're so hungry? Their banter escalated into another fight. Enough. Senseless violence solves nothing. Sleeping Beauty here is trying to starve us, he interrupted, stepping between them. You should go make breakfast, the old man insisted. Now that's more like it. Why did you resist? Just get out of my face, he snapped. As the chaos settled, he asked, Are you all very bored? Does it show? The old man replied. Without any battles these days, I'm just itching to swing my axe. Take it out on the wrong target, he said, rolling his eyes. Your ability to take blows is pathetic. I maintain my composure with my beast heart. I listen with my sensitive ears, block and counter. This is a skill I've practiced hundreds of times. How fast you've been improving. I was expecting something more, but this is not it at all. I'm tired of that lunge. Don't you have anything else for me? I know I've changed. I'll change them now, even if it takes me 100 years, or 1,000. I can move forward. Come at me again. I will break you this time. His opponent grinned. Your skills are truly pathetic, but I never get tired of seeing that look in your eyes. I'll take you seriously when you actually touch a hair on me. The rain kept coming and stopping randomly. At this rate, the mushrooms are going to start growing on my toes, he grumbled. How many times have my deals fallen through because of this rain? I'm starting to believe we're really cursed. Come to think of it, I remember the lieutenant mentioning it before I left the infirmary, he said. First the weather, and now there are a bunch of soldiers getting injured. There was a fire too, and that's why everyone keeps talking about the curse. Of course, I know there's no such thing, the old man replied. But the cursed weather keeps feeding the rumors like wildfire. Unfounded rumors in the camp aren't good. I'm sure the higher-ups will put a stop to it soon. Why do you keep standing by the entrance? He asked. I'm training myself to listen for people, the old man replied. Other methods of training give me the creeps, he said, shaking his head. As they talked, another soldier approached, saying, If you're looking for ways to train inside the barracks, there are plenty of things you can do sitting down. He shrugged. Well, would you look at this goon? Rest of you saw what I did, the old man quipped. I want to teach each of the company commanders to squash these rumors. We need to send out the reconnaissance team one more time before winter comes. Do we have any good soldiers to fill the open spots? The elf leader spoke up. What about the 444th leader, the one who leads the squad of troublemakers? Isn't he a bit dense? What if he ends up getting in the way? She replied, He just might surprise us. What makes you think that? Elf intuition? As she spoke with the leader, he realized that she was assigning him to the reconnaissance team.